How have you managed to turn away from these cheap and easy pleasures?
It's a gradual process, you know. People always think it happens instantly. You know, I get millions of DMs that people struggle with that, people struggle with this, you know, no fap, dopamine detox, social media addiction, and all that stuff. And I will always say it starts with the basics. You know, I always start with the body. The body is the very first thing a man needs to be working on, because if you don't have, I call it the pilars, right? Let's say the pilar of the body. If you don't have that in check, if you don't have a certain level of progression, you don't need to start developing yourself mentally. I like to say, you know, if you can put control what you put into your mouth, you can't control anything. You know, if you lack the discipline to not eat that piece of cake, how do you want to develop any mental strength? It starts with the body. It starts with getting your diet in check, hitting the gym consistently. When this routine has been established, you can put it the next. But the mistake that people do, they want to get it all right at the same time. They want to go no fap. They want to stop scrolling on social media. They want to hit the gym. They want to eat healthy. They want to do this. They want to do that. They want to do in 180 turn, and then they fail. You know, start with one thing at a time. You know, start hitting the gym. Start getting your diet right. Doesn't matter if you're still addicted to social media. Doesn't matter, honestly, like if you're still fapping to porn at that moment, if you can't even control what you're eating. Because if you can't control what you're eating, you can't control if you're touching your penis or not, you know? So you start with the basics and then you start progressing. Then you start maybe, like, for example, I don't use a personal account. I have one, but I have literally one post on there because I turned that social media addiction, for example, and used it simply for my business account, you know, for creation. That's the next step, you know. Use social media less personally and start a brand, start posting something, put out value. And then you start like attacking the next thing. Maybe no fab, you know, start with no fab, but also don't try if cold turkey doesn't work, gradually, you know, start going in soft mode, which means you can still fab, but without porn. But you're still detaching your brain from the porn. And then, you know, just gradual progress.
I think it all comes from some level of conviction, doesn't it? It all comes from some feeling where you're, I don't know, maybe this is an experience that people can relate to. You know, you're lying there and you're just thinking like, you know, what are all these things that I've done today? Like I feel it comes from like a feeling of what am I doing? And you start really questioning and look in the mirror. And it can be quite overwhelming, as you say, to kind of look at where you are now and where you would like to be and see how much of a big gap there is and how many different things that you kind of would like to change. And like I think that needs to be agitated, and I think too many people aren't even feeling that because they're being so numbed all the time. They don't even question whether these things are even bad. I mean, the discussion we've had so far in the podcast on this whole, like, you know, red pill and feminism and the guys that are just pursuing hookup culture, they're not even saying these things are bad, which is so the opposite of what it feels deep down. You know, they'll celebrate and encourage people to, you know, watch porn as like some expression of their sexuality, or they'll encourage like the use of TikTok and defend all this kind of stuff. And it's crazy to me how people can't see the deep like negativity that kind of runs underneath all of it. But as you say, like it's such an important step to just take that first step and not get too overwhelmed and just make those small consistent habits.